Security program on spreadsheets, new regulations piling up, and audit dread? It's time for Vanta. Vanta automates security and compliance, brings evidence into one place, and cuts audit prep by 82%. Less manual work, clearer visibility, faster deals, zero chaos. Call it compliance or call it compliance. Get it? Join the 15,000 companies using Vanta to prove trust. Go to vanta.com/calm.
Have you ever walked into a supermarket and bought 3 times more than you planned? There's a secret psychology behind it. It wasn't just a fluke. It didn't just happen. There's a secret behind this. Ever wondered why milk's in the back? Sugar cereal's at kid height? The music's slow? There are subconscious triggers in the supermarket that you can use for your persuasion and influence. They're not just selling groceries, they're hacking your brain. Remember, up to 95% of influence involves a subconscious trigger. It's below the radar. It happens without you knowing it. Let's learn it, let's apply it, let's do it.
Maximize your influence. Kurt Mortensen is the author of Persuasion IQ, Laws of Charisma, and the best-selling book, Maximum Influence.
Welcome back to Maximize Your Influence. Kurt Mortensen here, podcast 595. We could talk about supermarkets. In the past, I've talked about casinos. That's a subconscious trigger zone. Go back to the archives and see what casinos do. Now, today, we're talking about supermarkets. They are master persuaders. They know the human mind. And remember, we've learned more about the human brain in the last 10, 20 years, the last 100 years combined. We know what's happening in that gray matter. And these supermarkets, they design every inch of their store. The layout, the lighting, the scents, the sounds. They know you're going to turn right. They know you're going to see the bright vegetables, those reds and yellows that can stimulate appetite. They know you're going to fill your basket with the healthy stuff, so it makes it easier to fill it with the not-so-healthy stuff when you pass the ice cream. So they set it up, and you start grabbing items that you didn't plan to buy. It's all engineered just like you can engineer your website, your presentation, your place of business. So stop persuading with logic alone. Look at your environment. Look at the sequence of your presentation. Look at the triggers around you that point your audience, your customer, your prospect to a yes. You can use this to increase average order value. You can use this to increase lifelong customer loyalty. This is what we're talking about, the supermarkets. It's known as retail anthropology. Some call it neuromarketing. I've heard it called impulse buying triggers, nudge theory, a lot of names to this. Bottom line, let's understand exactly how to do this. Before we take a deeper dive, let's get into the persuasion blunder of the week.
Don't!
That mistake we see that we're doing or other people are doing, where you get too used to your persuasive message, your persuasive surroundings, that you start to bypass some of these important triggers, the sequence you need to persuade below the radar. Just like if you live near an airport, you don't hear the airplanes landing anymore. If you live near a freeway, that noise just goes away, or a train, you just don't hear them. And that's what happens a lot of times with the retail setting, or if you worked at a car dealership, there's certain things that need to happen. Sometimes you get sick of them. You're tired of the music, but that music is there for a reason. For example, if you went to IKEA, you've been to that furniture store, you went right to the place where you purchase, it wouldn't have the same effect because it's designed for you to go to the maze, see the furniture, see the expensive, see the less expensive, and then once you made the decision, you can see the box that it's in. If you went straight to the box and had the experience, it wouldn't be as persuasive as you went right to the box with the picture. So once you find the process, that sequence that works, you keep following it. Doesn't matter how many times you've done it. Or the other part of that is just ignoring the environmental surroundings, the subconscious design in your process, your persuasion process. When you start treating persuasion, influences, words, and logic, then you aren't crafting the full persuasive journey. We've talked about this before with Coke and other large companies. They make these big decisions all based on logic. And this is true with most corporations I've consulted with is we get so close to what we're doing, we forget the emotional attachment about our consumers, our customers. We see blunders out there all the time where the corporate has lost feeling with the customer and what they really want and what they really think and what they really believe. So you got to focus on that. So you have to remember persuasion, influence, marketing, advertising, whatever you do, there's the logical side and the emotional side. A lot of times we forget that emotional side, or we bypass that step to trigger the emotions in our prospect and customer. Just like that car salesman I mentioned, who goes right into the features, or they approach them right in the lot. No, they need to come into the showroom. There's the background music that's important. There's the free donuts. That's important. There's the attractive models in the posters. That's important. There's that new car smell. That's important. Subtle hints of upgrading. That's important. But they get so close to that they don't do it, and that doesn't prime the prospect to be persuaded. So make sure you're not losing the emotional side of influence, number one. And number two, make sure you've mapped out that journey, that sequence for maximum influence. Okay, that's the blunder. Let's talk about the geeky Scarlet article. This is from Malcolm Gladwell. This was in the New Yorker. And he talked about a lot of the science and research from the supermarkets. Now, if you want to look at malls and go a little bit bigger in supermarkets, the expert is an anthropologist named Paco Underhill. We've talked about him on previous podcasts. Now, Paco, Dr. Underhill's done a lot of research with malls and shopping and what we do. Malcolm Gladwell talked about it in the article, and he just talks about, just like the supermarket, shoppers follow predictable patterns. We follow our driving patterns. In the United States, North America, most places, we're going to turn right. That's what we do. And when you walk into a store, a supermarket, or a mall, there's a decompression zone. We come in the door, and we really don't engage with much for that first couple of feet, right? Different lighting, different temperature. We're walking in. We don't really notice much in that first 5, maybe even 10 feet. They found that whatever they can do to increase your time in that mall, in that supermarket, you are going to buy more. That's why you see confusing patterns in the mall. There's not a straight shot. They're at an angle. There's a diagonal. Some of the aisles in the supermarket are a little off, going up here, down here. Their goal is to keep you there as long as possible. They know that the candy at the checkout, the sugar cereals, that's at the kid level. The Wheaties and the healthy cereals, that's the eye level adults. The kids are looking right at the Captain Crunch. Right? That's done for a reason. And the way they did this, they installed video cameras all over the place, and they had people following them with clipboards taking notes, and they had over 100,000 hours of tapes to spot these patterns, some of the things we'll be talking about today. And so they found never put the important products in that decompression zone right when you walk in the door. And they also found, and I'll buy this is true, that men are bigger at impulse shoppers than women, especially in the grocery stores. You send a guy to the store for milk, and they're coming home probably with some nachos and a few other snacks for the evening. So the key here is treat every conversation, website like the supermarket. Map out the path your prospect or customer is going to walk. Make it feel natural, not forced, and understand those psychological triggers. As we get into this, let's go to a listener email.
Oh, boy!
This is Thomas from Sydney, Australia, who for participating gets Influence University. Check it out at maximizeyourinfluence.com. That's also a place for a free Persuasion IQ assessment and the other things that we are working on. A study you want me to go over on the podcast? maximizeyourinfluence@gmail.com. Send it to me and let me know. So Thomas says, Kurt, love the podcast. Thanks for what you're doing. My score's going up on my Persuasion IQ. Say, awesome, Thomas. Thanks for the feedback. He goes on to say, I went to the supermarket to pick up something for my wife. I came for one thing and left with 10. How do supermarkets use persuasion psychology to plant those buying urges? Urge is a good word. Nudge is a good word. I use triggers. Doesn't matter what you use. It's those subtle things that push you to purchase things. And let's talk about ways to do that, what they're doing below the radar to get you to buy more than you planned on buying. The one that was mentioned in the article, let's talk about it, is they've designed the journey. Like I said, they know that you're going to turn right. And the plan, of course, is they want you to spend as much time as possible in the store. So how can you design the journey? Again, on the website, in your presentation, in your retail store, in your negotiation. You've got to design that physical or digital journey to make sure you can plant as many persuasion triggers as possible. It's simple. Humans follow predictable patterns, predictable movements. Like I say, we know you're probably going to turn right. It's not 100%. And then, do you need a decompression zone when you start your presentation or negotiation to build rapport? Do you need that in a retail setting? That decompression zone, meaning, are you persuading too fast? If I was walking in a furniture store and someone approached me in the first 2 or 3 feet, whoa, too soon, I'm decompressing, I'm just getting in. There's a time and place for persuasion. I've talked about that before with these mixers, maybe these networking events where people are grabbing them at the door, they're trying to get them before they got food, trying to get them in the restroom, time and place. So what do you need to do to put the milk and the bread in the back? Most popular items. So you're walking all the way to the back, past different things, spending more time in the store, past the Doritos, past the Coke, past the fill in the blank, and you fill up your cart. Convenience store, soda's probably in the back. It'd be more convenient in the front, but that's in the back. Then what can you do to hit their senses? It's one of the 12 laws of persuasion and maximum influence. This one's a law of association. Music and smell. This is that background music. If you listen to that music in the supermarket, it's a little slow because you shop longer. And the studies show by Dr. Milliman that you shop 38% longer. It slows you down and elevates your buying mood. Now, fast food's a little bit different. It's fast. Why? They've got your money. They need the table. Eat faster, right? They're not going to spend time to try to upsell you. They've got your money. And they found what's interesting, and I haven't verified this one. Makes sense. That's my expertise. When you look at music, 60 to 70 beats per minute is the one that triggers the most positive emotions linked to spending. Then there's smell. Starbucks makes sure that coffee aroma is there when you walk into that store that causes you to linger and to buy. Movie theaters, that popcorn smell. Cinnabon, near the Cinnabon store, the cinnamon rolls, you're more likely to donate to a charity. The baked bread at supermarkets increases sales 300%. One interesting study I read a while back, they had these people sitting down watching political candidates, and some of them, they popped in a very positive smell, and they liked the candidate better. And then another one, they pumped in a negative smell. Not sure where they got it, but that hurt the evaluations of that political candidate. It matters. Another one is exposure. Are they seeing your website? Are they seeing your product or service in retail and supermarkets? They need to make sure your highest margin are in the end caps at the end. That's where most people will see them. Or get it eye level to get them noticed first. Or physical movement. That grabs people's attention. If you see those things when you're driving around town that are flopping in the air, grabbing your attention, movement's very powerful. And you'll see Costco do this, where they put the high margin items in the end caps. Higher interaction increases persuasion. Then another interesting one is pricing, the pricing psychology. Odd numbers are more persuasive than even numbers, whether it be at a supermarket or in a negotiation. When it's a rounded number in real estate, it just doesn't seem believable. It's just more believable when it's odd. 9 is persuasive. It's 99 cents. 7's actually more persuasive now, 97 cents. We see Walmart doing that. It's known as the left digit effect. So when something's $9.99, we're like, duh, $10, but your brain sees the 9. That's the left digit. So look at your pricing. Is it odd? What's your first number? It makes a huge difference. Studies confirm the left digit bias. We've talked about before scarcity and urgency. If there's no need to make a decision today, I'm not going to make a decision today. So you have to help them make a decision today. Now, this law of scarcity, one of the 12 laws, is the most overused and abused law of persuasion on the book, but you still need to use. Just how it is, but make sure it's legitimate, believable, real. Now, if you're going to say limited time stock, time sensitive, only 5 left, make sure it's true. You could cross the line, and you tell me if this crosses the line. The clothing stores that have the closeout, there's a medium, there's a large, there's an extra large, there's an XXL large of that same color, but there's not 2 larges. There's only 1 large in that color. Scarcity, urgency, 1 left. There's more in the back. Because when they say, well, this is the last shoe left in your size, you're like, yeah, right, wait a minute. It might be true, but sometimes this is not very believable. So crank up that FOMO. Be real, be legitimate, be believable. Make sure it works. Scarcity, the limit 10 works well. My wife sends me to the supermarket to buy ice cream. We only need 1 container. We don't have that many people coming over. And I bring home 4. She's like, why'd you buy 4? I'm like, limit 4, right? There's just something about it. Even Costco. You know, I'm a big boater. You need life jackets every year, right? They wear out. So you replace a few every year. And Costco gets a shipment usually about March. And all those boaters stick together because we know they get 1 big shipment, and once it's gone, it's gone. You won't see them the rest of the year. You can't buy a life jacket at Costco. You've got like a 2-week window to buy it, and people go nuts because they know that's it. That's legitimate, believable, real scarcity. Then, along with those association triggers, you got to look at colors. You got to look at lighting. Go to a pharmacy. That bright lighting makes a big difference for credibility. Be strategic in your colors. You have to adapt to your prospect, to your industry. You know, red is for urgency. Blue could be for trust. Pink's a calming color. What are you looking for? Colors do affect our buying decisions, our heart rates, our mood, our emotions. You name it, it affects it. Apple stores use bright, clean, white energy to make products feel like a premium. So there's the lighting side and the color side. The color of your website, the color of your PowerPoint. It makes a difference. Color of your food. Both Coke and Pepsi have come up with clear colas. Ooh. Heinz has tried green and even purple ketchup. Kids love it, but parents will buy it. Ooh, right? That feeling you're feeling? That's a bad subconscious trigger. Gallon of milk. If you could taint that plastic yellow, lasts 3 days longer, but people don't buy yellow milk. And then take a look at that impulse. You could pulse the impulse, where you can place small, easy add-on offers right at the moment of final commitment. Once the brain says, all right, let's do it, that's when you add on. That's where you get the undercoating at the car dealership. You don't know what it is, but once you've spent $30,000, $40,000, whatever it is, what's an extra $500 for undercoating? What is an extra for this add-on? That's the time and place. So have a low-friction upsell available on checkout. Amazon does that, frequently bought together. They make it easier. You're checking out the supermarket, a candy bar, a mint, a battery, something easy, something that you need. So train your team to offer an impulse item. Because again, the brain's different. They're like, whoo, I've made a decision. Let's do this. I mean, there's a negative side of this, especially negotiations where you've made the decision and they try to, get a little bit more here, a little bit more. What about this? Add on this, do that. There's a negative side of this. But when you can say, hey, add this. You want batteries with that? That's helpful. Why would you want them to go to another store? Why would they want to go to another store to get batteries? Do you want a warranty with that? Those are the type of things that are easy add-ons. So that's our podcast today, podcast 595. Take something you learned today, apply it, use it. Look at your sequence. Doesn't matter if it's a presentation, face-to-face, whether it's retail, online, doesn't matter. We can all learn from the supermarkets. In fact, next time you go, take note, learn from it, grow from it. Aha, good job. I like that. Not so good. That's how you become a great persuader. Okay, thanks for being here. Appreciate your love and support. Tell your family, friends, and enemies about Maximize Your Influence. We can be found on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Audible, and YouTube. Subscribe for our email at MaximizeYourInfluence.com, and you'll get notified of all the podcasts and all the specials. This week's specials continues to be 111 sales hacks. Again, there's more than that. I keep adding to it. It's about a 4-minute audio, give or take a minute. Here's the persuasion tool. This is why it worked. This is how you apply it. Start using it. You can go as fast or slow as you want. You want a tool a week? You want a tool a day? To really increase your ability to persuade and influence. You can check that out at lawsofpersuasion.com or your email link or wherever you get your podcast. Again, master these skills, become a better negotiator, a better influencer, a better leader, and go out and persuade with power.